Alright, the darkest moments in TV history. Now, y'all already know my nigga Nick Crowley. I fuck with Nick Crowley. We watched some of his vids before. You feel me? They be some good shit. I ain't gonna lie. Some eerie shit, but it be good shit. You feel me? So, we finna get into this motherfucking vid. Alright, sit back, relax, enjoy the motherfucking show, and, fucking, I don't know, get some hoes. Alright, come on.
Under the water there are traps, old cars.
Let's see some darkest moments in TV history.
Under the water there are traps.
The hell?
Old cars, bedsteads, hidden depths. It's the perfect place for an accident.
On the 29th of June 2025, a group of teenagers ventured into the Miriam River in Bacabal, Brazil, for a quick morning swim.
I keep telling y'all to stay the fuck out the water, and y'all ass won't listen. You know what? Fuck this.
But after several minutes in the water, the group started to realize that one of its members, 13-year-old Raisa, was no longer beside them. And after calling out her name and searching the surrounding area, the realization set in. Raisa had disappeared. It was now likely somewhere in that murky water around them. The news sent shockwaves throughout the community, and straight away locals filled the area to help find this girl. But their attempts were all futile, and with each passing moment it grew more and more likely that Raisa had tragically drowned, with the search efforts shifting to recovery efforts the next morning. The tragedy led to various news stations arriving on the scene to help document the search, and for one reporter, Lenil du Frazao, he couldn't help but view Raisa's story as a cautionary tale. The Miriam River is particularly unassuming from the surface, which is exactly what made it so dangerous, since it carried with it an unexpectedly strong current and a bottom that was littered with sudden drop-offs.
Please stay out the water, people.
One step could plunge you into
we are meant for the land, folks.
As a result,
the water and shit, leave that shit for the sea life, the sea animals.
For Lenildu, this was the perfect time to highlight the river's dangers, in the hope of preventing one from ever happening again. And he had a unique idea to help achieve this. Rather than just explaining how dangerous the river was, Lenildu wanted to demonstrate it, and so he began to take off his shoes and his pants before entering the water with his microphone.
Like, again, I'm not insensitive or anything like that, folks. It's just like, it gets to a point where I try to be nice, but then, like, it's just, how am I supposed to feel bad for this nigga? And that's assuming ain't things finna happen to this nigga. I don't know. But if some dude, like, how am I supposed to feel bad for this nigga for the stupid shit that he did? He is willingly, by choice, getting in that bitch. And the girl already done. He could simply just like throw a rock or some shit in there or a stick. But nah, let me take off my clothes. Yo, you fucking.
Phone in his hand.
Foi justamente aqui, pessoal. Nós vamos entrar agora na água aqui para mostrar para vocês o local. Olha, a gente já vê que aqui a água é muito forte, ó.
Man,
e vai descendo, ó. Vixe Maria, vai descendo aqui, viu? Ó.
The camera rolled as he waded into the river, at first going just to the depths of his knees, before the riverbed began to drop beneath him, sending the water all the way up to his chest.
Então, pessoal, e aí ainda tem a correnteza. Aqui já, olha, ó, passinho para frente, a água já tá praticamente.
And all while this happened, he spoke to the viewers at home about how unsafe this area could be, especially for unattended children who weren't strong swimmers. But even with most of his body now submerged, he wanted to take it even further in order to prove his point. And so he continued wading towards the center of the river, right in the direction of the noticeably fast-moving current, until suddenly...
Olha, tem pouquinho aqui, ó. A água já tá acima do meu peito, para você ver a situação. Se eu andar pouquinho aqui, deixa eu ver aqui. Ó, vou andar mais. Ó a fundura aqui, ó. Ui.
I fucking hate niggas.
Lenildu physically recoiled and let out a loud yell. He stood there for a moment, anxiously glaring into the water, before telling his crew, "I think there's something down here underwater."
Oh. Oh my God, is it that girl? Hold on, chat. False alarm. Oh my God. Hold on.
Whatever he had touched in those murky depths didn't seem natural.
He's still a retard, but come on.
Describing it as being soft. And quickly, he made his way back to the shore, where he further explained why he was so shaken by the ordeal, admitting that what he stepped on felt like an arm.
Oh my God.
This is the exact moment that many believe Raisa was found, as just moments later, several locals would retrace Lenildu's steps and discover the 13-year-old's body in the same exact location. Raisa had died from an accidental drowning, as she wasn't a strong swimmer, and had likely fallen into the deep water where she was held down by the current, the exact conditions that Lenildu had been warning the viewers about when he unknowingly stepped on her corpse, with the entire ordeal culminating into what can only be described as one of the darkest moments in television history.
Drill the fuck up Nick Crowley, you know that. That shit.
Individually, they're just like you and me. But together, they are a source of endless fascination.
And we'll conduct a rigorous scientific experiment into twin telepathy.
The fuck?
It was a peculiar sight. As traffic flowed through one of the UK's busiest roadways, the M6, CCTV cameras captured two women walking down the narrow median, with the vehicle speeding past them on either side. These women were Sabina and Ursula Eriksson, 40-year-old identical twin sisters who grew up in Sweden, with Ursula eventually moving to the US and Sabina to Ireland. Just one day before this footage was taken, on May 16, 2008, Ursula had made the long flight to visit Sabina at her home in Dublin. But things got off to a troubling start when Sabina got into a verbal altercation with her husband and the father of her two kids, prompting both sisters to leave the house in the middle of the night without telling anyone.
Okay.
The next morning, the sisters emerged in the city of Liverpool, where they visited a police station and reported that Sabina's kids were in danger and were unsafe in her husband's care. Law enforcement briefly looked into the matter, but ultimately they didn't seem all too concerned with the children's well-being, and rather they seemed more troubled by the women themselves.
Wait, why?
Their behavior was just somewhat off, so much so that shortly after leaving the station, they were kicked off a public bus for exhibiting erratic behavior, which some passengers found threatening. And after the altercation, this erratic behavior continued, as for unknown reasons, the pair began walking towards the M6, and then eventually right onto it, where we see them now.
Cause look at them. I ain't gonna lie, when I first looked at it, I ain't gonna lie, you right, boy. They had look kind of. That's why I had to. That's why I was like, ugh. They do kind of look. They don't look right in the head, gang.
And put them in an extremely dangerous position, a position where one wrong move could lead to a horrific accident. And sure enough, that's exactly what would happen, though it was anything but accidental. Without warning, both women turned and then ran directly into the road, and for Sabina, directly into a car traveling in the fast lane. Immediately, local police were inundated with urgent calls about the ordeal, leading to a group of officers being dispatched to the scene, and coincidentally, the same group just so happened to have a camera crew following them as part of the show Motorway Cops. The show follows traffic officers as they handle their many daily encounters, ranging from mundane traffic infractions all the way to devastating tragedies, and this segment seemed destined for the latter.
Lane 3 is obviously the fastest lane of the motorway. Anyone being hit, you're expecting serious injury, if not life-threatening.
Despite the officers fearing the worst, however, when they arrived on the scene, they were met with a surprising sight. Standing there before them was Ursula and Sabina, who, despite being struck by a car at high speeds, appeared completely unharmed.
The fuck? Fuck these bitches is. Fuck, they invincible? What the fuck? They indestructible? Oh, hell no. They doing like voodoo type of shit, and they like... They want to test their powers.
In fact,
I get
both
it.
sisters were entirely calm, as they were shown casually speaking amongst themselves, as if nothing ever happened.
Damn it.
It was a miracle. And as the officers began trying to piece together the cause of this whole ordeal, everyone at the scene began to breathe a collective sigh of relief. There was no way that any of them could have known that their roles had just been cast in one of the most disturbing television scenes of all time.
What you mean? What's gonna happen?
What we've got
the central res. They were trying to cross the Bravo, so as we approached, they hadn't seen us, Mother. The red one's got knocked down by the red car over there. I've got an ambulance en route for her.
Right.
She seems alright, but I'm not a doctor. She has been knocked down.
Is she the one that speaks English or the other one?
Yes.
Right.
The other one, she's done.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
Without a single word being spoken, Ursula dashed into the middle of oncoming traffic and directly into the path of a massive truck traveling at over 60 miles per hour. It happened in a literal instant. There was hardly any chance to react, and before anyone could even begin to process what they had just witnessed, Sabina would also run into the road, not after her sister, but rather straight into the path of an oncoming Volkswagen.
Oh no! Mike Alpha, we need ambulance. Senior officers to the scene. We've got
What the fuck?
2 possible fatals.
Within just seconds, this completely calm scene had turned to utter chaos, and both women were now lying on the pavement. Miraculously, they both were still alive. Sabina was stable but knocked unconscious.
So, they tried to kill themselves twice by running into traffic and it failed both times. God damn, bitch, y'all suck it. You know, in fact, no, I'm not gonna make that joke.
While Ursula was in rough shape. Her legs had been pulverized by the truck, with paramedics describing them as looking as if they had exploded.
Ooh.
And while she lay there on the pavement, she was wide awake and experiencing everything. Within seconds of receiving medical attention, Ursula began to cry out. But strangely, it wasn't in pain. Rather, she was yelling at the paramedics, cursing and even attacking them for trying to help her.
Calm down. Calm down. Mine's very aggressive, spitting at me.
Shouting things like, "I recognize you. I know you're not real."
Come on, you've hit your head. Calm down. We are the police. We are the police.
It was clear that she was suffering from some sort of delusion, but while officers had their hands full trying to subdue her, things were about to get even more hectic as Sabina started to regain consciousness.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
She had been brutally struck by a car, as evidenced by the damage to the vehicle itself. But like Ursula, she also appeared almost entirely unfazed, as she stood up and began to scream to her sister, "They're going to steal your organs." One of the officers tried to hold her back, but Sabina resisted.
Still.
Oscar Tango 3.
Yo, I ain't gonna lie, bitch, you weak as fuck. You weak as fuck. I'm sorry. Listen, I'm sorry. This is a fucked up ass moment, but come on, bitch. You fucking sis. Look at this shit. You even try? Like, yeah, bitch, man, I would have fucking slammed that bitch to the fucking floor, man. Come the fuck on.
Eventually shoving the woman to the ground, before once again taking off into oncoming traffic.
No! Stay! Stay there. Calm down. Calm down.
Well, bitch, I ain't gonna lie. Listen, I'm not trying to make a joke. I'm just saying, like, if y'all want to off y'all selves, like, I ain't gonna lie, it's kind of the worst way to do it because now you all in the road and people already know it's chaos. So now they're gonna purposely slow down. So now it's just like, oh, well, damn. Now what the fuck? You about to just keep on running and just pray a fucking car hits you? It was cool. Man, that bitch. Her ass should, man, her ass should be.
Thankfully, this time the cars managed to avoid her, but it would take 6 officers to finally restrain her, and even with that many...
They didn't want to take 6 off of me, gang. Just use me, cause y'all niggas know, you know, I'm like, you feel me? I'm like fake Aki type shit, nigga. Man, sit your ass down. Stop playing.
It was still a struggle, as her strength was unlike anything that they had seen in a woman her size. And with Sabina now subdued, the chaos was finally over.
She's strong. It got me thinking. You don't think that's a... Nah, surely not.
In the following moments, Ursula was airlifted to a local hospital where she underwent an extensive, yet successful emergency surgery, while Sabina was shockingly found to have no injuries, which allowed her to be discharged into police custody after just 5 hours, where she was promptly arrested and sentenced to 1 day in prison for assaulting an officer, as well as trespassing on the motorway. And with both women now safe, one question burned at the forefront of everyone's minds. Why had the Erickson twins done this? Well, the immediate theory was that this was all the result of drug use. But surprisingly, when given toxicology tests, no drugs or alcohol would be found in either of their systems. They were entirely sober during this ordeal, which left only one plausible theory, that this was all the result of some sort of mental breakdown, with both women somehow experiencing its effects at the same time. Today, this case is used as one of the most glaring examples of a psychological disorder known as folie à deux, in which one person suffering from delusions transmits said delusions onto a different person, leading to both people experiencing the same misconstrued version of reality. And while this is only a theory, it's clear that regardless of the how or why, these women were extremely mentally unwell during this event. In fact, during the TV program, an officer even mentioned that this could be a 136.
Yeah, is she under arrest, baby?
Well, 136 if she is.
Which is a code that allows law enforcement to hold people on account of their mental health to assure that they're safe to return to the public.
Right.
But shockingly, not only did this never happen, but Sabina was released without ever being given a mental health assessment.
Yo, UK. Y'all some bitches. Y'all some hoes. The youths and shit, you niggas. Yo with me.
In fact, she was never so much as looked over by a mental health professional, and was instead released the very next day after the incident.
Let me guess.
On top of
And
this,
she
when
offed
was
herself
released,
after
she was
that?
given no information about Ursula's whereabouts or her condition, or even resources to help find her way home, leaving Sabina still mentally unwell and now stranded in an unfamiliar city, not knowing what happened to her sister. And sadly, her delusions were far from over.
Shocking.
As she left the police station on the 19th of May, Sabina had nowhere to go, and so she began to wander, carrying her belongings in the same evidence bag that the police had given her earlier that day. Eventually, she would happen across two men walking their dogs, and as she stopped to pet them, Sabina asked the owners where the nearest hotel was. But seemingly recognizing that the woman wasn't well, one of the men, Glenn Hollenshed, offered to have her stay at his place, to which Sabina happily obliged. But once inside Hollenshed's home, Sabina began acting extremely paranoid, checking the windows constantly and believing that her cigarettes had been poisoned. Despite this, though, Hollenshed was patient, and he helped her make...
Off topic, but, well, kind of on topic. I know somebody in my life who's, acts exactly like this, chat. Like, that, like, all jokes aside, like, this type of mental illness, I'm just letting y'all know this shit's real. Like, that schizophrenic, hella paranoid and like that shit's real. I've seen it my whole life. I've seen people spaz. I've seen people jump out of windows and do all type of crazy shit. Oh, people watching us. There's cameras in the walls. And I swear to God, I've seen it so many times. This type of shit is real. Like, woo. I've dealt with people that tried to board up windows and yo.
calls around
Man,
the area
chat.
to track down Ursula, while making
And it's
sure that
always
Sabina-
sad when it's like people that you care about too, whether they're a friend or a family member or whatever, like spouse, whatever game, like shit be fucked up.
was eating and
Mental
drinking.
illness is real, people.
The following
Please
day,
check on y'all
Hollenshed
people
was preparing
and get
dinner
them the
for
help that they
Sabina
need.
when he stepped out of the house to ask his neighbor for tea. But just minutes after returning home with the bags, he would once again step out of the house. Only this time, he was completely covered in blood as he stumbled and screamed, "She stabbed me." As he collapsed to the ground, the neighbor rushed over to try and help, but the damage was already done. Hollenshed would let out one final soft whisper, saying, "Look after my dog for me," before breathing his final breath.
Damn.
For unknown reasons, in that house, Sabina had stabbed Glenn Hollenshed, and by the time law enforcement arrived, she was long gone, having fled the house with a hammer in her hand, which she used to strike her head repeatedly as she mumbled incoherently and walked down the sidewalk. Eventually, a man passing by tried to intervene, but Sabina immediately attacked, brandishing a roof tile that she had hidden in her pocket and using it to strike him on the head, nearly knocking him unconscious. It would take several minutes for police to finally catch up with her, but just like the day prior, she took off, leading to a chase that ended with Sabina being surrounded on a 40-foot tall bridge that passed over a highway, and recognizing that there was nowhere left for her to go, she jumped.
Yeah. I ain't like fuck that bitch.
Somehow,
Fuck her.
Sabina
At the
would
same
keep-
time, fuck the UK paramedics there too, because I ain't do shit to help that bitch and put it out of harm's way to not only hurt herself, but not to hurt anybody else. Boy, fuck them niggas, dead ass. Y'all bitch ass niggas, gang. That's y'all fault, by the way. That's y'all fault.
death once again, and despite suffering 2 broken ankles and a skull fracture, she was alive.
Oh, fuck this. What the fuck is this bitch made of? No, cool. What the fuck type of voodoo ass shit is this? No, like deadass, for what the fuck is this? This bitch just don't die. Like shit, goddamn. At this point, gang, no, like deadass, gang. At this motherfucking point, I'm not even trying to be like, but holy fuck, like, damn, bitch, fuck. No, she gotta be. No, she indestructible. It's not her time. Damn, I guess it's not. I guess the universe like, bitch, it's not your time. Stop. Boy, that bitch tried to kill herself 3 times. Got hit 2 times by a fucking car, a truck. Bitch done jumped off the bridge. She's still alive. Damn. I know a motherfucker that fall down like 3 flight, motherfucker fall down 3 steps. They ass die. The fuck type of shit is this? Oh, fuck no. Hell no. That bitch dead ass got like 7 lives, gang.
And after a lengthy recovery, she was put on trial for the murder of Glenn Hollinshed, where she would never give a single comment as to why she did what she did, leaving her motive a total mystery to this day. Though it seems clear that it was at least partially a result of her delusions.
Yeah, and them niggas bogus as hell.
Too fully ado as a potential explanation.
For let go.
And in the end, it was deemed that Sabina was not mentally fit to make decisions at the time of the slaying. And ultimately, she was given a prison sentence of just 5 years.
Yo, you can't. I'm not gonna bow. Y'all got the worst laws in this. 5 years for murdering somebody. 5 years. 5. Bitch, that's a slap on the fucking wrist. So meaning, I don't know when this happened, but she's literally out right now. I don't know if she's alive, but shit.
This is truly one of the most disturbing TV cases of all time. And for as shocking as it is on its own, what I find most chilling is the fact that these officers mentioned holding her for a psychiatric evaluation, which ultimately never happened.
She under arrest, Legs?
Well, 136 if she is.
It was a massive oversight. In fact, it was so glaring that the police department allegedly contacted the show and asked them to remove this entire section. As if they had just followed through with that code 136, Sabina would have been held for longer than just 1 night, which meant that she not only may have been given the help she needed, but she also never would have had the chance to meet Glenn Hollinshed that fateful day.
And he died for no reason because these bitch ass.
Since her release from prison in 2011, Sabina promptly disappeared from the public eye, and
Ew.
neither she nor Ursula has ever been.
That bitch is not normal. Look at that. She's not the gang. I know that look. I know that look, boy.
Heard from again, meaning we have no idea whatever happened to the Erickson twins.
Wow.
They just simply tend to be making the same decisions at the same times. They're thinking in the same way.
It's December 2021.
I'm
A
scared.
couple receives a warm welcome as they walk onto the stage, ready to
scared.
compete in the Croatian television show Super Talent. the
Shit
country's
never
version
goes
of
right
America's
in
Got
talent shows.
But it's clear this excitement from the
Goddamn,
crowd wasn't
bitch.
shared by the
Ooga
show's
booga.
host,
Goddamn,
who turned to
shit.
someone standing behind the camera and flashed the unmistakable look of concern.
GG's.
In the minutes prior, the audience at home was introduced to the pair, 34-year-old singer Roman Bernata and his wife, 44-year-old violinist Bianca Kolompar, along with their child, who would be watching on as the two shared their music.
Goddamn shit. Actually, let me stop. It's weird. She's smart. Yeah.
Talents with the world. In their day-to-day
She looked
lives,
good, though.
Roman was a
That's all I'm
professional
saying.
goalkeeper for a local soccer team, while Bianca was a professional violinist with a doctorate in
Damn,
music.
you have.
And while on paper this all seems fairly normal, it was immediately clear to those watching that this couple was anything but. The two frequently went on long-winded and bizarre rants, with Bianca opening up about her breast enlargement surgery.
I could tell. Yeah, I
And
could
the two
tell.
discussing at length their belief in a living God who walked the earth.
Oh, GG. They one of them type of people. Oh, yeah, that's GG's. I know where this is going.
But it was their performance itself That proved to be the strangest part of their time.
God
on the
told you
show.
to get them BBL titties too.
Dobro večer.
Vi se mene ne sjećate, jel da?
Ja?
Ne. Prije puno godina.
Aha, ja se nas sjećam kad sam
Ugostiteljska
snimala
škola,
spot.
jel ide Hardo, ide? Je, ja se ispričavam, ali stvarno moram vas to pitat.
Roman's introduction was fairly uncomfortable, as he made mention of a time that he had met one of the judges years before, who clearly had no recollection of the encounter, which seemed to frustrate him, as his demeanor quickly became hostile.
Ko je vaš talent? S čim ste se došli
Ja nemam
predstaviti?
nikakav talent.
Pa šta
I don't have any talent. Word.
Ali potpuno nebitno, emisija se zove Super talent,
Ja vas
kolegica...
dečki volim, nemojte mi zamijeniti.
Alo, polako, mislim da ipak ćemo mi ovdje voditi riječ.
Može pa.
Leading to Roman receiving his first X before he even sang a single note.
Ako je kolegica pitala koji je vaš talent, a naša emisija se zove Super talent, a vi tvrdite da nemate talent, onda vas ja pitam pošto ste došli.
Radi. Okej, hvala, može.
It was a rough start for the couple, and by the time they did get to perform, things only got worse.
GG's. 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 This is about to go so wrong. This is about to go so wrong.
Admittedly, the couple didn't sound awful, but it was clear the judges were frustrated by Roman's demeanor, prompting all four of them to hit their X, signaling the end of the couple's performance.
I'm
Or
scared.
at least they thought.
GG's.
As the two just kept on performing, playing over the sounds of the judges shouting their name and the deafening silence from the crowd.
Romane!
With the two going until a producer finally had to step in from behind the camera and officially cut them off. But even then, the couple continued their antics, this time by protesting the judge's decision, with Bianca even threatening to go to the newspaper and expose their behavior to the press, all while Roman stood angrily to the side, glaring at the panel before him. And with that, Roman and Bianca's time on Super Talent was over, and they not only walked away without receiving the grand prize, but they also left with shattered reputations, as this segment became notorious among fans of Super Talent, with the couple being considered one of the most unusual acts to ever feature on the show. But despite its virality, this performance isn't what Roman is most widely remembered for today.
What the fuck?
On February...
What the fuck is this? Bitch, you got, yo, Nick, I fuck with you, but you gotta give me some type of warning. You can't just throw a naked nigga with his dick out just on the street. Like, damn, nigga, fuck.
6th,
the fuck?
Residents in Rijeka, Croatia were met with the sight of a fully nude man wandering the city streets. It was Roman Bernata, and while most stared on in amusement, laughing to themselves and snapping photos, what they were witnessing was actually one of the most disturbing events the city had ever seen.
What happened?
After his disastrous performance just 1 year prior, Roman continued to pursue a career in singing, taking every opportunity he could to share his music with the world, often joining Bianca on her YouTube channel, and singing on the streets for tips, where he actually made a decent amount of money. Though because of his notorious television moment, he would often be harassed and even have the money he earned stolen from him. One day, while performing outside of a local soup kitchen, he was introduced to a woman named Darnika Krevich, a 67-year-old who relied on the soup kitchen for consistent meals. And after hearing Roman sing, she became a legitimate fan of his music, leading to the two striking up a friendship. And despite Darnika not having much, she offered to take Roman to a local coffee shop on February 6th, 2022, where she treated him to a warm cup of tea on a cold winter day. And so the two sat inside a restaurant called the Cafe Pin, with everything seeming completely normal, until a server noticed that Roman started to look almost sickly, like he could barely keep himself upright, as his body was starting to slump over the table, his eyes barely open.
Okay.
The server rushed over to help, but Roman recoiled and shouted, "Just try calling the police on me."
GG, this bitch done put some, she done lace this nigga, she done put some in this drink. She done put some in this drink, GG.
And so, not wanting to escalate things, the server left, only returning later to drop off their check, which is when Roman's behavior took an even more drastic turn. He began feeling around his pants pocket for his wallet, before looking desperately around the table, but there was no sign of it. And so he grabbed Darnika's bag and rifled through it, before yelling, "You snake, you whore, where's my wallet?" Though when he still couldn't find it in Darnika's bag, his anger turned to violence as he stood up and rushed Darnika, grabbing her by the head and shaking her, screaming in her face, accusing her of being a thief. This time, multiple people inside the cafe rushed over to hold him back.
Unless this nigga just tweaking, my
Roman
bad.
was too strong, too angry, and with seemingly no effort at all, he pushed everyone away, completely unfazed by their attempts. In that moment, no one could have stopped Roman. Darnika was entirely helpless, and so the crowd inside the cafe watched as Roman grabbed her by the neck and dragged her behind the bar, and then proceeded to kick, then stomp, and then jump directly on her over and over again, each time landing on her head.
And y'all just let this nigga do this. You couldn't pick up one of the fucking bottles or knives or whatever the fuck is in there and fucking bash this nigga on the fucking head. Y'all just gonna sit there and let an old lady get her ass beat to the... Y'all is some pussies. Yo, gang. Listen, I know there'd be dangerous situations. People be scared. You're human. I get that. We've all been in situations where we just been scared. We feel powerless. But gang, if I know I can do some shit, I'm gonna fucking do something. I don't give a fuck about none of that ass shit, gang, on BD, folks. We get shit busting. Like, you hear me, folks? I ain't... Come on, gang. You could use one of the bottles and hit his ass across the head. Bow! Fuck you talking about. His ass with a drop, gang.
It was a rage so demented that he actually began to smile, a wide manic grin, as he jumped and chanted, "Whore, witch, die." After what felt like an eternity, Roman stopped, before sprinting out of the restaurant, leaving Darnika entirely unrecognizable and dead on the floor. The same floor where, just feet away, Roman's wallet lay, having innocently fallen out of his pocket shortly before. Outside, Roman removed his blood-soaked clothes and walked completely naked into the city center, much to the amusement of the passerbys who had no idea what he had just done, until eventually he made his way into a nearby police station and blankly stated, "I am not well." This sentiment was true in so many regards. Roman hadn't
fuck
been
this
well for
nigga,
quite a long
gang.
time. Since a young age, it's believed he had
Oh,
dealt
his
with
ass
diagnosed
died.
schizophrenia that
GTA.
had led to uncontrollable anger issues, before developing an
6.
alcohol and
Realistic
substance abuse
graphics.
problem that only exacerbated his symptoms. And by the time he was an adult, Roman became so delusional that he believed he was a disciple sent from God to touch the world with his music, something that he eventually convinced Bianca of as well. So in their Super Talent episode, when Bianca mentioned their love for a living God that walked the earth, she was likely referencing Roman.
Ali ja osjetim, stvarno imam taj kontakt sa živim Bogom I mislim da je Bog svugdje oko nas, da je Bog osoba, energija, znači sve, istovremeno, da.
Roman was severely unwell, and no one in his life was keeping him in check. In fact, those closest with him were only feeding his delusions, with all of his issues coming to a head on the day of the incident. And when he realized his wallet was gone, Roman rushed to assume that Darnika was the one who robbed him, perhaps as a result of having his money stolen frequently on the streets. But the sad reality was, in a sea of people trying to exploit and mock Roman, Darnika was one of the few who actually truly cared about him and legitimately believed in his talents.
Crazy.
And yet he killed her in one of the most evil ways imaginable, all over a simple misunderstanding that was entirely his fault. In the end, Roman Bernardo was deemed unfit to stand trial and was never sentenced to serve any jail time, instead being given a 40-year sentence in a mental health facility, where he's since been described as a model patient, with his good behavior awarding him the opportunity to leave the facility for days at a time for therapeutic purposes.
That's crazy. Long live that lady, man.
There's nothing out there at your
I hate niggas, man. Tweaker ass niggas. Alright, now I would tell y'all how, I think I have told y'all this, but you know, if I ever told y'all how like my sister years ago was going with this nigga who was literally mentally insane, deranged, whatever, and he hated me so bad, he was so fucking bad that the nigga started accusing me of going with my own sister. He started accusing me of going with my own sister. Yeah. I'm not gonna say other shit that he did. It's way worse, but that's just one of the things. He in jail now for I think sexual assault, robbery, aggravated assault, and other shit now. So yeah, there you go. Lofo just Man.
It was the start of yet another adventure for the crew of the television show Gardener's World. This British program has been on the air since the 1960s and provides viewers with tips on how to maintain their garden while showing off a variety of unique plant life, which often brought them to
so
remote areas
casual.
of the globe.
Hey man, be like that.
This particular episode was filmed on February 5th, 2020 in the Drakensberg mountain range of Lesotho, Africa, with the host, Nick Bailey, making the long journey to track down one specific flower.
One species which grows wild all over the country.
Australia! Fucking O'Reilly, Mike.
It's the gladiolus.
This delicate flower would have been familiar with
Crikey.
many of the show's viewers, as it was quite popular.
Kangaroos
in the UK.
and shit
But in
like
this
that,
region,
Mike.
There existed a unique species
Oi,
that
oi,
had been
Mike.
seen a handful
Oi,
of
Mike.
times in the
Crikey O'Reilly, Mike. Fucking streaming. My name's Tynowolf and I'm fucking streaming. Alright, mates. Let's get back into the video. Crikey.
last century, since it only grew in one particular valley
What in
and
the Chicago
one particular mountain range. Its scientific name is the Gladiolus microcarpus, and there were two people.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm not gonna go near no fucking flower called the Gladiolus microcarpus. You got me, that sound like some Last of Us shit. That sound like some cordyceps Last of Us ass shit. New. You got me fucked up. Gladius microcarpus. Fuck no.
Who knew it better than anyone else. Rod and Rachel Saunders were well-renowned botanists who studied the world of South African flowers in depth, with their favorite being the gladioli, as they would spend days and even months on end roaming areas just like this to learn everything they could about them, making them
That's
the
a
perfect
beautiful
duo to
ass
help with the
motherfucking
show.
view.
Why gladioli? There's so many different plant species in South Africa you could have picked.
I think their beauty. Some of them are so exquisitely beautiful, you actually just want to sit down and cry when you see them.
But even with their vast knowledge of this region,
Eh.
there was always an element of danger when traversing it. Its climate is often volatile.
Pretty
and
tight
conditions
and coming
are
out of
known to
nowhere
turn
and
on a
fucking them
dime,
up.
making safely navigating this
Or
area
land or
extremely
some shit.
difficult to downright impossible. This was apparent even on the day of filming, as a dense fog had rolled in, and given the steep and rocky landscape, one wrong step could spell disaster.
GG's.
This didn't stop the crew from carrying onward, though, as Rod and Rachel were relentless in their pursuit. They would do anything to find these flowers, and sure enough, the segment ended as they did exactly that.
So they died for some flowers.
About 4 times looking for this plant, and this is the best I've ever seen it. It is looking absolutely gorgeous.
With that, Rod and Rachel's time on Gardener's World was over, but their journey through this area certainly wasn't. As the cameras cut, the crew made their way back to their makeshift base camp miles away, where they said their goodbyes, with Nick Bailey capturing a photo with a beloved couple and sharing it onto Twitter before parting ways, leaving the couple behind. As rather than returning to their home in Cape Town, this was actually just the start of what would be a multi-month expedition into this region, with the Ngoi Forest Reserve being their final destination.
Ngoi Forest.
Along with being botanists, the couple were also avid seed collectors, and had started a business which shipped the seeds they had found to other plant lovers around the world. And while here, they made it their mission to find some of these ultra-rare gladioli seeds, and sure enough, on February 8th, 2020, Rod and Rachel sent a text to one of their employees at the seed mailing business, which contained a photo of the exact flower they were looking for. But despite this text seeming like a sign of more good things to come, the reality was far more bleak.
Oh no.
As this text would ultimately be the last the couple would ever send.
Oh my god.
Out of nowhere, communication with Rod and Rachel had stopped entirely, and for days no one heard anything from the duo, prompting that same employee they had sent the image to report them as missing on the 10th of February. It was a devastating turn of events, but one that was always a possibility. Poor weather, a wrong turn, an injury, anything could have derailed their expedition, as again, this area was notoriously dangerous, with it seeming all but certain that they had fallen victim to the unpredictable fury of Mother Nature, though this belief would quickly shift, thanks to the discovery of the couple's car. It was found by authorities abandoned by the edge of the Tugela River, and had been emptied of virtually everything inside. However, there was something left behind. As in the trunk, authorities would find a massive pool of blood. Blood that belonged to Rachel. Just days after filming, Rod and Rachel were making their way towards the Ngoi Forest Reserve, growing more and more excited by the discoveries they were making, oblivious to the fact that in the woods around them, they were being watched, hunted even, and not by an animal, but rather by a man. His name was Saifundin Aslam Delvicio, a local of the area that the couple was traversing, and on February 9th, he allegedly sent a text to his wife, Bibi Patel, telling her that he had found a good target, and that he was now in pursuit.
The fuck?
With said target being Rod and Rachel. Later that night, the couple made their camp and began to drift off in their tent, while Del Vecchio allegedly watched on, and once he was certain that they had fallen asleep, he made his move, approaching the tent, then tearing it open, and then standing above the couple.
Nobody cares.
In the following moments, Rod and Rachel would be brutally bludgeoned to death before they could even react, as they lay helplessly, still inside their sleeping bags.
You better not give her shit.
Text messages indicate that Del Vecchio then enlisted the help of his wife, Bibi, as well as his friend, Musa Jackson, to help
So
discard
who the
the
fuck
body.
is this nigga? Some fucking real life Craven the fucking Hunter? The fuck is this? Nigga sound like it's Steviaxovici. What the fuck is his
Using
name
the
is?
couple's own car to transport them to the one place they were certain they would never be found.
You have an ad because you ain't a
the Tynowolf
sub.
River.
Sub
There
up.
was something about this stretch of water that they believed would make these bodies impossible to find. Crocodiles. And so they pulled up to the banks of the river as the crocodiles quietly watched on from a distance and dumped the bodies of Rod and Rachel into the water, where they were immediately devoured. They thought it was the perfect plan. However, it thankfully failed to work as well as they had hoped, as in the following weeks, fishermen would happen upon both of the corpses, or at least what remained of them, as they were in such bad shape that it would take nearly 2 full months for them to be identified. As for why this attack happened, we still don't fully know, as the trial is still ongoing, with Del Vecchio proclaiming his innocence, which is why everything is alleged at the moment. But the evidence is damning. Messages on Del Vecchio's phone paint a clear picture that he was responsible for this, with his motive appearing to be religious differences between him and the Saunders, as well as money, as after the slayings, large sums of money were withdrawn from the couple's bank accounts, along with lavish purchases being made on their credit cards, with one of the receipts from the shopping spree being found inside of Bibi's purse. The evidence is almost impossible to deny, but while we wait for justice to be served, it's important to refocus on those who won't be here to see it happen.
Just 2 elderly ass couples
Rod and
getting
Rachel
killed by
truly
some
did
random
nothing wrong.
bitch nigga.
They were 2 incredibly wholesome people who were just trying to find and connect with the flower that they loved so dearly. And while their interview days before their death is an undeniably dark television moment, it also serves as an incredible tribute, as one of the last things they ever did in their lives was share their love and passion for gladioli with the world.
Damn.
The flower that they ultimately gave their lives to find.
Quite a trek to get here, and what an incredible treat to see such a special plant in such a niche environment. Thank you.
Pleasure.
It's a pleasure. It's nice to be here.
Damn, man. Damn. W-Vid, man. W fucking Nick Crowley gang always come through with the motherfucking bangers, man. But that shit, damn, that's fucked up. Long live those 2 couples, man. The elderly couples, folks. Always, like I said, bitch niggas, I always take you out your glory on my life, folks. Just be stupid ass shit, folks. W-Vid, folks. W fucking Vid.